Hi everybody, it's Tuesday and it's time for Life Coach. Oh boy, do I have I don't know if I'm going to do this one successfully, but this is a big question, okay? Well, let me just say, life coaching is helping people find a goal. This person definitely has a goal. I hope I answered this right. But without knowing the person, without getting on the phone with you and doing a session and talking about it and finding out what you like and what you don't like and what you feel and what you don't feel and what your experiences are, what you've experienced in the past and all the things that go into that. It's hard to be able to give the type of advice that or just sometimes it's not about advice. I mean, most life coaching is not really advice. Most life coaching is finding out what's inside of somebody and bringing it out so they become the best expert on their own life, which I think is ultimately the goal. But this person says, how do I make myself more appealing for marriage? Let me read that again. How do I make myself more that's what they said, more appealing for marriage? Well, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell unless I know who you are, and I know something about you and what you like and what you don't like. I do know things about people in general. Sometimes people want to be married because they just don't want to be alone. And I mean, that's part of it, but if you just don't want to be alone, there's always somebody out there will hang out with you. You may not like who they are. You may not be thrilled with them, but they'll hang out with you. They'll probably, and if you cook for them, if you make them food, you'll have even more people hanging out with you. But from what I know, like my experience is limited. It depends on who it is that you want to be married to. If you have somebody in mind, that's going to change the way in which this conversation would go. That's why life coaching, you'd have to get on the phone with somebody. You have to find out them, who they are. But people who want to have that kind of intimate relationship with somebody, you're going to have to want to know about that person. Sometimes when we meet new people, we want to talk about what we think and what we feel and what we like and what we don't like. And what that person's really, really looking for is somebody who's interested in them. Somebody who's interested in what they feel and what they think. And ask them questions about themselves that no one ever asked them. Ask them about their past and how they got to where they are. Because they want to tell you, they want to talk about it, but they want to know that you're interested in them. So the best way to make yourself appealing is to be interested in somebody, is to be interested in how they got to where they're at right now, what they like about this and what they like about that, what they don't. Because the more they talk about themselves because they know you're interested, the more they're giving themselves to you. And the more they feel like they matter to you. What they've been through matters to you. That's very appealing. I promise you, that's very appealing. As somebody that has spent time in the limelight, most people that I would talk to, they want to know about, how'd you get started in music and what's your favorite song and what's it like to stand before this many people, or ask you things that relate to your music and how they know you. Because the only way they know you is through music or some form of ministry, if they've seen you sing somewhere or speak somewhere. So that's their point of contact. Very few people have ever asked me, what did your house look like growing up? What type of house did you grow up in? Or did you have any pets when you were little? And what were their names? And who named them? I mean, those are the type of things that you want to talk to somebody about and ask them, because that makes you very appealing to that person. And not everybody wants to be someone else's dream come true. I have an opinion about that. And since you're watching, I can tell you. We all have this idea of what we think we want. She's got to look this way, and her hips got to be this wide, and the head's getting the hair color this, and the lips, and the ears, and just she wears these type of clothes, and she always, and this is the type of what her voice sounds like, and you have all these things, and here's what she'll do for a living, or she'll do one of the several things, and you do that with guys too. He's got to be this tall, and I don't want nobody that's, I have to have somebody that's, and he's got to have a big shoulder. And he's got to have a deep voice. I hate guys with high voices. He's got to have a deep voice. I mean, you have all these things until you meet somebody that you really care for. And then all that stuff goes out the window. Because a lot of times they don't match up with your checklist. There are certain things that are deal breakers, whether or not they're a believer. And here's something that I would definitely put out there, and I've seen this happen time and time again with women. And I could talk about this all night long, but let me just wrap it up with this, because this can be the reason to either stay and keep talking, or say thank you for a lovely evening and get out of there. If you ask somebody, you always want to find out if somebody's saved, right? If they're a Christian. And they'll probably, if they say, well, yeah, the church I go to, if they start talking about their church, that tells you something. That tells you that they're not talking about a relationship. They're talking about a location. They're talking about a habit, and they're talking about something they do socially. So here's the question. The question is, when were you born again? Jesus said you must be born again. Now, if I was to ask you what your birthday is, you're going to know what your birthday is. Because you're here, you were born on a specific day. If you ask somebody if they've been born again, and they go, well, I don't know about the born again thing, because, I grew up as soon as they go down that road, the reason they don't know when they were born again, because they're probably not born again. So, if you don't know your birthday, that means you don't know if you're here or not. If you don't have a rebirth day, that means you ain't been reborn. It's simple. It's really basic. If somebody doesn't really have a born again experience, if you're a born again believer, if you're not a born again believer, then you can wipe everything I'm talking off the table, because then it really doesn't matter. But if you're a born again believer and you're looking for somebody to spend the rest of your life with, and you like who they are and everything like that, you're trying to appeal to them, they're trying to appeal to you. Key thing, you're going to want to find out, when were you born again? Jesus said you must be born again. If they do not know when they were born again, the reason is simple. It's because they're not. Well, I got to explain this. They know what their birthday is. If they know their birthday, they'll know their rebirth day. They'll know when they've been born again in Christ. And if they don't have that experience, and if they can't answer that right away, and they start talking about their church and how they grew up, and well, the reason I don't go to church is because I saw, there's a hypocrite there and that. But look, if the hypocrite is keeping you away from from going to church, the hypocrite is still at the church. So the hypocrite's closer to God than you are. I mean, it's just that line of reasoning is so negative. But you got to find out when somebody's born again. If you're born again, if you don't care about having a Christian, then forget everything I'm saying. But if you do, and that means something to you, and it always does, because you are not an evangelist. You're not there to win somebody to the Lord. You know, you're there to meet somebody who is already in the Lord, somebody who has your level of depth in Christ. So that's going to be important to you. And I hope this makes sense. Just, you got to ask somebody the birthday. They can answer the birthday. When's your rebirthday? If they start hedging and fudging, check please.